these characters for sure can deal with Wonder of You. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today I honestly thought about doing a video about Abbacchio, but looking at his backstory, it would have made what I would have talked about effectively fan fiction. Yeah. But regardless, today we're going to go ahead and jump into a different topic. Characters that can deal with Wonder of You. Now, initially, it would have been a longer video, but I figured I'd split it up into two. For certain, and maybe. So, with this said, if it's at least a 75% chance of the character being able to do something against Wonder of You and the stand user, yes. Even less than that, then it'll be a maybe video. But regardless, I'll go through each part, say whether or not there is a character, and talk about it. So with that out of the way, let's begin with So before we get into it, let's have a short explanation as to what Wonder of You is. So, Wonder of You is in the category of sentient stands, where the stand user doesn't actually have to activate it. Think of something like Sex Pistols from Guido Mista. Something like that. During Jojolion, he acted as the director of the local university hospital under the name Satoru Akafu, and had the identity of a retired medical professional. So think of Doctor. Heck, even when I saw the image of Wonder of You, I thought of a Doctor too, or just, a weirder looking version of Zeppeli, to be honest. And its stand power, or stand ability, is that it's able to cause a calamity to anybody who wants to go against or pursue the stand user. So, yeah, anybody who wants to go after Toru or wants to pursue him will have a calamity brought down on him. So, yeah. And with that, let's jump into the first part, which is So, the first part of JoJo is definitely a wash. I cannot see anybody being able to, not only deal with Toru, but also survive the calamity, or whatever amount of a calamity that Wonder of You would throw at any of the characters. Even if we stretched it and say that Dio's regenerative powers were incredibly fast, I highly doubt he would survive Wonder of You. So, yeah, no one from part one's surviving it. The only one that could do anything of note worth that's more than a 50% chance against Toru or Wonder of You is goddamn Ultimate Cars. Shit. Yeah. So he embodies the actual physical manifestation of the ultimate life form. Yeah, Shadow, you're not the ultimate life form. Some guy who can turn himself into freaking animals is. Oh, jeez. So yeah, he can just not only survive every calamity that Toru's stand could throw at him, but manifest a pigeon and just kill Toru with it. And that's why whenever he gets put on the list, it usually ends up with Send him into space. For Stardust Crusaders, there are a lot that could have a very high chance of dealing with Wonder of You. So I decided to go with 5 such examples that can have a high chance of beating him, or at least dealing with Toru, that being a 75% or more probability. The first one, or 2, are the Darby brothers, Daniel J. Darby and Terrence T. Darby. So the big deal with both of them is that they trap people's souls through their game. Daniel J. Darby is an expert poker player, and Terrence T. Darby is an expert video game player, at least by the standards of Stardust Crusaders, that is. But in terms of how they would deal with Wonder of You and, of course, Toru, technically speaking, they wouldn't be aiming at him. They would be more so inviting him to a challenge, in which I don't believe Wonder of You would see that as malice. But the outcome will surprise people if Toru isn't really into games. And from what I know of JoJolion, I don't think he is. So, yeah, the Darby twins have a pretty high chance of winning, unless we go by the logic of, Jotaro Kujo. The next one is going to be Vanilla Ice and his stand Cream. Now, unlike the last two, the Darby twins, their stands really were used mainly to snatch up souls once the enemy lost. This time, his stand is actually present during it. But yes, Cream, I believe, can deal with Toru rather handily due to the fact that it can go between dimensions, and was a major problem for Iggy, Polnareff, and Avdol. Heck, he ended up killing Avdol, too. And it wasn't like when they dealt with Whole Horse. The whole fight between the three of them and Cream lasted 8 chapters, so that's a major feat. And I can give this one a solid 90%, simply due to the fact that there's very small chance of him leaving himself out for an open attack. So, yeah. The next one is Jay Gill and his stand, the Hanged Man. Now, this one won't be as high as, say, Vanilla Ice. I'd give this one a 75% chance, simply because of the fact that Jay Guile doesn't really have to be near his target. He can actually be a fair distance away. But his stand, the Hanged Man, yeah, unless Toru, really early on, knows that the stand is in reflective places, like, for example, other people's eyeballs, as it was shown in the episodes and in the chapters, I doubt he'll be able to pinpoint where Jay Guile would be, or actually even the stand. So I can honestly see him doing a fair amount to Toru, or in this case, even Wonder of You. The last one I'll be covering for Stardust Crusaders is the sentient stand, Anubis. Now, unless Toru could overthrow its influence, I highly doubt he'll actually be able to win over it, since it takes over someone's mind and tells it to do whatever it wants it to do. So yeah. Now, with this stand, there is no actual stand user, so whatever calamity whatever of you might throw, it could end up being on Toru, considering he has to pick up the sword for anything to even start. Unless someone else tries using it on Toru, then maybe, but considering how it ended up in the midst of these Joestar, the Stardust group, I don't think that they'll do that. Regardless, I give this one 80% to 85% as a likelihood of Toru being possessed by the sword, and a very small percent chance of Wonder of You doing anything worthwhile. So, yeah. Alright, so let's move on to Diamond is Unbreakable. Technically, there's really only two that can do something to Toru and Wonder of You. There was one that I thought about for a moment and then decided no, not as big of a chance. But the first one we're going to deal with and talk about is the stand user Toyohiro Kanadaichi and his stand Superfly. So, what is Superfly and what can it do? Well, Superfly is a transmission tower that actually can be seen by non-stand users. The major thing is Kanadaichi is also trapped with it because anybody who is underneath it is just straight up trapped. Cannot leave. And he can leave only if someone else also ends up in the perimeter. Blech. Now, how can Superfly deal with Wonder You and, of course, Toru? Well, the stand, of course. It can turn anyone into, metal if it tries to, steel, if they try to leave the stand perimeter. Not only that, but if you end up trying to attack the stand, it'll attack right back at you. It's like, Boba Fett's counter move. Just, it wouldn't be stronger, it just will rebound the entire thing. Yeah, right back at you. So yeah. The only downside is if Toru left the perimeter before Kanadaichi did. That's about it. But I can see this being an 85 to 90% chance, especially if he ends up in the perimeter and Kanadaichi takes the moment of seeing him under the perimeter to, vamoose. So yeah, he gets screwed. And the other one that has a high percent rate of being able to do something to Toru and, of course, Wonder of You is, of course, Kishibe Rohan. Now, the only reason why he lost to Josuke is due to his blind rage. But put him on any list and he'd be probably way up there, top 3. But regardless, Kishibe Rohan, the man, the myth, the mangaka, Yeah, he can definitely deal with Wonder of You. No doubt about it. 100% can deal with Wonder of You. With his stand, Heaven's Door. So Heaven's Door can give Kishibe Rohan. Rohan? Yeah, whatever. Apologies about that. He can give Kishibe Rohan a peek into Toru's life and change anything about it, including I will not use Wonder of You against Kishibe Rohan. It's just that simple. Or I don't know what stands are. It's just that simple. So yeah, that's a 100% win rate for Kishibe Rohan against Wonder of You, and of course Toru. And now we take a look at Vento Aureo Part 5. And for this one, I have a feeling there are a ton of stands that have a potentially high rating in terms of dealing with Toru and Wonder of You. Except this time I decided to go with 6 for some reason instead of 5, but it's still not the entire list. So with that said, Diavolo. His stand King Crimson has a couple different abilities that can help it deal with Wonder of You. The first one, of course, is being able to predict the future. This future is to pass. It isn't a guess, it is going to happen. The other one is his ability to skip the effect, which means even if Wonder of You were to cause a calamity, Diavolo can have King Crimson skip that calamity, barring the fact that it's within that time frame, and just go straight afterwards. Meaning he can start attacking Toru or Wonder of You right after skipping that calamity. The next one we'll talk about is Giorno Giovanna with the stand Golden Experience Requiem. Now with Requiem, the stands seem to just activate on their own, kind of like with Wonder of You or Sex Pistols, but it's a stronger version of the stand in general. So with Requiem, I have a hunch that it would be at least a 75% chance of Giorno winning. Granted that Requiem can land a blow on either Wonder of You or Toru. And once it does, it causes the exact polar opposite of King Crimson, which is reset to 0. Meaning, regardless of how many calamities Wonder of You causes, it won't matter. It just go back to the beginning. Just like with what happened against King Crimson. So yeah. The next one we'll talk about is Prosciutto and his stand, the Grateful Dead. So, the Grateful Dead is a short-range stand that can age any enemy with a mist that comes from its body. And it was actually rather effective against the Bucciarati team as one of the major key players survived towards the end. Naracha actually felt its effect. True, there is a solution to it apart from getting rid of the stand, and that is ice. I highly doubt they'll have any chance of getting any ice for Toru. So I can see this being a 75 to 80% chance of the Grateful Dead dealing with the duo. The next one I want to talk about is Risotto. His stand is Metallica. And if you know anything about metal, or even the mutant Magneto, yeah, this is one of the most deadliest ones in Evento Oreo. Your entire body does, or well, not your entire body, your blood contains metal in it, and that's its strongest point. So, yeah. I'll leave a link to the fight between him and Dapo? I think it was Dapo. Doppio. But yeah, his stand was rather fatal. The next one we're going to be talking about is actually just the stand. And that stand is Notorious B.I.G. Oh boy. So this one was another stand that was incredibly annoying to Team Bucciarati. And the only solution for them was to dump it into the ocean. Yeah, it's the other side of things when concerning a being that can't be killed. The other one, of course, being cars. But Notorious B.I.G. can and will survive any calamity that Wonder of You causes it, and it can kill Toru. That's basically all I need to say. There is a better explanation. I'll leave a link in the description below. But yeah, it's pretty much a near 100% chance that Notorious B.I.G. can kill Toru. And the last one from Vento Oreo that we'll be covering is Ghiaccio. His stand name is White Album. It's a suit that he wears, and the whole thing about him is he is an ice skater, and his stand's ability is Sub-Zero Freezing. All he has to do is make contact, and anything he touches freezes. Which means, yeah, if he can manage to touch either Toru, even if it's on the shoulder, or Wonder of You, both of them are fucked. I'm not even joking. And with it being Sub-Zero, it's gonna be quite something for Wonder of You to have to try and deal with. So I can give this one a 98% chance of Ghiaccio winning, given the circumstances. So yeah. And that is it for Vento Oreo. We'll move on to Alright, let's move on to the last part of the original timeline, that being Stone Ocean. Now, this one doesn't have nearly as many that I believe could deal with Wonder of You and, of course, Toru, but it does have a few that I believe could. So let's begin with probably the most obvious one of them all, Poochie and the Stand Made in Heaven. I think one of the earlier iterations of his stand could also deal with it. But regardless, the big thing with Wonder of You is that it only causes calamities if he or Toru are being targeted, and if Poochie doesn't go after either one of them, yeah, he can activate Made in Heaven, like, easily. So that's pretty much a 90 to 95% chance of Poochie winning and causing the new timeline to show up. The next one I want to talk about is Lang Wrangler and the Stand Jumping Jack Flash. Now, this one is an interesting one because Jumping Jack Flash, its ability relies on gravity removal. And it was actually quite interesting in the fight against Jumping Jack Flash as well. So I can see him being able to disable Toru, and honestly, I could probably see it disabling Wonder of You in one fell swoop before it could cause a calamity. I would give this one more so a 75, just in case there's like that that quarter of a chance of Wonder of You still being able to cause a calamity, but not as much as, Jumping Jack Flash being able to deal with both of them. So yeah. The next one I want to go over is Sports Max and his stand, Limp Bizkit. Now, this stand reanimates the dead and turns them into invisible zombies. And not only can it do recently deceased, it can also reanimate stuffed birds, along with the stand user himself. So yeah, it's quite something. And not only that, but they also have permanent invisibility. And they're pretty much regular zombies where they go after brains and blood, of course. But they aren't invincible, though. So, if you just attack them normally, of course they'll go down. But if he has an army of these zombies, he can deal with Wonder of You and Toru rather easily, especially he spreads out the zombies. So it'll be like what was it, Left 4 Dead 2? Just saying. And the last one from Stone Ocean that we'll talk about today is DNG and the stand Yo-Yo Ma. So Yo-Yo Ma is an automatic stand, much like Sex Pistols and, of course, Wonder of You. This stand is indestructible and can only be dealt with by killing the stand user. Yeah. It also has a wide range in terms of how far away the stand can be from DNG. So you'd actually have to pinpoint where he is in order to kill him. But the big thing with DNG is that it can kill by melting you with this acidic saliva, by putting it in other things like water, which of course can get splashed. It can be put into things. It can be transmuted into someone's arm. Anything. But yeah, its biggest thing is acidic saliva that will eat away at you if you don't deal with it. So yeah. And with that, let's move on to Steel Bull Run. Yes, the part that has been guessed and theorized as to what the announcement for JoJo Day happens to be. Now, this is going to be your only warning if you don't want to know about the two characters that I'll be discussing that have a high chance of beating Wonder of You. But with that said, the first one is Johnny Joestar. He is the new universe's take on Jonathan Joestar from Phantom Blood. So, Johnny Joestar has the stand of Tusk, and the part in which that can actually deal with Wonder of You is Tusk Act 4. Yes. It has the infinite... Johnny, at that point in the story, has the infinite rotation, and Tusk Act 4 has the amount of energy needed to use it. So, employ infinite rotation, and Wonder of You's done. Effectively. The only thing that infinite rotation couldn't do, or deal with, was it World Over Heaven? From the game Eyes of Heaven. So, yeah, that's interesting. And the other one that I believe that has a high chance of killing or beating Toru and Wonder of You is Funny Valentine. And his stand, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Now, his stand allows Funny Valentine to go in between different parallel worlds and pull people from those worlds and kill them by having that version and the original collide. Of course, he is safe from the effects of his own stand, like Vanilla Ice. So, there's one safeguard. The other thing is that Tusk cannot be... Tusk actually protects Johnny with the holes. So, that's the only other thing that can deal with it. So, yeah. But I can see this being a 90% chance. Especially if Toru in the parallel world does not have Wonder of You. So bringing Toru from the other world into the main one, having them collide, you got yourself a dead Toru. So, it's that simple. And yeah, I think those are the only two stands that can deal with Wonder of You from Steel Ball Run. Up next, and now, Jojolian. Another part that hadn't been animated yet. So if you don't want to know anything about this one, once again, your only warning. Yeah, one second. Alright, so there is really only one stand, and this is the stand that actually dealt with Wonder of You, that being Soft and Wet Go Beyond. Now, Josuke Higashikata, the stand user, gained this stand power after learning about the art of spin, which was the main thing from Steel Ball Run, and combined it with his own stand, which was a combination of two stands. But, anyways, the soap bubbles from his birthmark gained the power of spin and was able to kill Wonder of You by passing through... what was his name? Norisuke. I have it jotted down. But yeah, that was of course after Toru was killed. Right. But yeah, that was the only one from JoJolion that I could see really dealing with either of them. Yeah, I would honestly go over the stands from the JoJo lands, but there's only a grand total of 7 so far, so it wouldn't be that worthwhile. But with that stated, that's going to do it for me today. Next week's video might actually, well, not next week, but the week after that, after the JoJo Day thing wraps up, I might actually talk about it. Not sure what I'll do for next week, but until next time, everybody, goodbye.